Hey everyone, it's Andrea with Great Expectations Realty, your boots on the ground property management team right here in Central Florida. Now, if you've owned property in Florida for any amount of time whatsoever, you already know hurricane season, well, it's just kind of a part of life down here. But a lot of people don't realize that hurricane season here in Ocala looks a lot different than it does on the coast. So today I want to walk you through what makes our area unique for the hurricane stuff, the recent changes in Florida's flood insurance laws, and what my team does to protect your investment properties anytime there is any kind of storm anywhere on the horizon. We go into storm mode. All right, so we're also going to talk a little bit today about why it's a really good time to reevaluate your insurance coverage because things have changed quite a bit this year. So yeah, let's go ahead and have you grab a coffee and we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so when people think hurricanes, they picture beaches, palm trees bending in the wind, I don't know, sideways, and then storm surge rushing in and all those news crews sitting in knee-deep water. Okay, here in Ocala, we're kind of smack in the middle of the state, and that does lull a lot of people into thinking that we're completely and totally safe from any and all hurricane damage. All right, it's true. We don't have to worry about storm surge, but we still are fairly close to the coast. So what we do get is some of the strong winds, and we do get a lot of heavy rainfall and sometimes even tornadoes that spin off of those bigger systems, the same as any of the other lower 48, basically. So even a tropical storm can bring in enough rain to flood some of the flood areas, those low-lying areas, especially where drainage systems might get backed up or retention ponds overflow. So yeah, a lot of people were surprised a few years back when we had widespread flooding in areas that weren't even marked as flood zones. So inland does not necessarily mean invincible. It just means that we are way lower risk, like way lower. So not risk-free, but low risk. We'll go with that. All right, let's talk about something every property should have on their radar: flood insurance. There have been some issues lately with flood insurance that you might want to take a look at, and that's not just technically here in Florida. It's also throughout the United States. But I want you to be aware of what's happening. So if your insurance is through Citizens, which is a state-run insurer, Florida law now is requiring that Citizens policyholders carry flood insurance, even if your property isn't necessarily in a high-risk flood zone. Well, that's just fabulous. Yeah, they're kind of slowly phasing it in over several years. So right now, larger value homes are already required to have flood coverage. By 2027, they want every Citizens policyholder to have it. Most of the property owners that I know of don't carry Citizens policies, but it's just something to be aware of. This change came about because there are so many properties that flooded that weren't technically in flood zones and people did not have coverage. So the state's trying to fix that gap before the next big storm. And on top of that, the National Flood Insurance Program, that's the NFIP, that's the federal program that most people use for flood policies. Well, it recently ran into a bit of a hiccup. Congress let the funding lapse. That was awesome, which means new policies and renewals get temporarily paused, right smack in the middle of hurricane season. So that left a lot of Florida homeowners and investors just kind of scrambling. The great news is private flood insurers have really stepped up their game. There are more private companies than ever that are offering really competitive flood insurance options, a lot of times even with better coverage or faster processing. So if you haven't looked at your policy in a while, this is the time to do it, okay? Even if your property isn't in a designated flood zone, the cost of adding flood insurance is usually pretty small compared to what you could save after a storm. Also, flood insurance doesn't just cover hurricane flooding or storm flooding or whatever. It's any flooding from an outside source. So, I mean, that could be a lot of different things. So just something to keep in mind. All right, now let's talk about that insurance checkup. Every year when hurricane season rolls around, I like to remind my owners, just take an hour. Take an hour. I know it's going to be the most awful, boring hour of your life, but look over your policy. Just sit down with your insurance agent. Make sure your coverage actually fits your situation today. A few things to look over is wind coverage, okay? That's not something that we necessarily have a lot of over here, but it is something to take a look because your policy actually includes wind damage. Some cheaper policies exclude it. So it's something to think about as to whether or not you want to include that on your properties or not. You can also opt to get a less expensive wind coverage if you get something called a wind mitt. That's something, just let me know and I will go ahead and set it up for you. It's about $100 to get it done. But it's basically a home inspector that's certified will go in and they will check to see if your roof is in good shape as far as like has the right tie downs and has the right stuff. So they turn in a wind mitt report, a wind mitigation report. And then that's good for like 5 years and you'll get a discount on your insurance for 5 years because you've got that wind mitt report stating that for at least the next 5 years, your roof is in really pretty good shape. Most houses these days, they're already going to have everything that they need to have for their roofs. Pretty much anything built after 2002, that's basically when we got all of the policies and code changes and stuff like that. It actually took about 10 years because all of that actually got started from Hurricane Andrew in 1992, which, by the way, was like the first time I visited Florida. Really, really crazy time. Anyway, so those roofs that you've got now, especially if you got like a newer home or whatever, you're going to have the correct stuff. Just go ahead and get, $100 for your wind mitt report. You may already have a wind mitt report because often if you've just purchased your home a few years ago, we normally ask them to go ahead and do the wind mitt at the same time because you get a considerable discount. So you may have already had a wind mitt done when you purchased your house. You don't even know it. But if you turn that information over to the insurance company, you will get a sizable discount. So food for thought, just something to look into. All right. You can also look into raising your deductible. That's something that, you're going to have to look at your finances. That's nothing for me to decide. But hurricane deductibles are usually a percentage of your coverage, not a flat number. And sometimes that can catch people off guard. So it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of. Again, check your flood insurance. If you have it, know how much coverage that you're actually carrying. Additional living expenses or loss of rent. If you have tenants that have to move out during repairs from like flooding or something like that, you want to know you're covered for that loss of income. That might be something you want to do. Just look into it. There's, again, there's other options for mitigation as well, like storm shutters or higher quality, newer windows because they're double pane, all this, just stuff for wind, basically. And here's something a lot of people forget about. Flood insurance has a 30-day waiting period. That means if you wait until there's a hurricane brewing in the Gulf to call your insurance company, too late. So really, now's the time to get that in place. Okay, they do it because people have thought that and all tried to do it at once. So yeah, no, you gotta have it done now because hurricanes are normally here less than 30 days. So, all right, let's talk about what we do as your property management team when we know a storm's coming. Like, we take this seriously. It's the safety of our tenants in your property. That is the number one goal. So basically we monitor, we track the systems a lot. As soon as they pop up out in the tropics, if there's even a chance that it could affect North Central Florida, we begin internal prep and communication, and we just start our storm prep. We also, once it gets closer, we go ahead and start with our tenant communication. We send out storm prep notices to the tenants. That includes reminders to like bring in patio furniture, any kind of potted plants, trash cans, anything that could blow around and, become a projectile. Let's not do that. All right. We also remind them where local shelters are, how to report any damage or emergencies during the storm, and we request/require them to let us know if they decide to go out of town for the storm. Some people are just either new to Florida or just are not comfortable in it, and so they're like, you know what, I'm out of here. Well, that's all well and good, except for if we don't know you're gone and you may not have electricity on or there might be damages, we need to know. So we let them know that we need to know if they're going to go out of town, because that means that we're going to put it on a list of houses that we're going to need to go over and check to try to get everything, any kind of damage minimized, and just check on it, because there's nobody going to be there to check on it. So we keep a list of all the properties that are going to be sans people, because how are they going to tell us that there's a major issue at the house if they're not there? So we have to go check those. Anyway, all right, so what about the actual storm itself? Well, we do readiness, we do check-ins, especially on higher risk properties. We make sure gutters are cleared, tree limbs and stuff are trimmed, and drainage is open. We do all of that before storm season. So right about now, you've probably already gotten a bill for tree trimming and stuff like that. That's basically because we're trying to mitigate any kind of projectiles. So those trees are beautiful, but you don't necessarily want them to converge on your property in your house. It's not good. It skewers like a shish kebab. We also make sure that all of our vendors are on standby in case we need them, like right after the storm. We also document before the storm hits. We take photos and videos of any of the properties. We try to accumulate all of that whenever possible. If we haven't had an inspection done, we try to get inspections done and over there. That's all really, really helpful, especially if there's a claim later. We also require all of our tenants to have renter's insurance. So we encourage them strongly to go ahead and review what's in their house and make a list and do a video of their possessions, because while it's not necessarily anything that's our job necessarily, it's something to help them out. All right. Once the storm's actually coming through, we stay in communication as best we can, but safety comes first. We keep our teams off the roads until conditions are safe. That's not just us being weenies. That's because it's only supposed to be emergency services out on the roads. And the more people that are out there bebopping around really limit the ability for emergency services to get where they're going. So if I am out on the roads, that means that I could potentially put myself in danger, and that would tax more of the resources. So I don't need anybody coming saving me. I'm good. I'm going to stay at home. So stay at home, keep in contact, watch the storm, check and see if there's any issues. Pretty much it's pretty quiet normally, the actual storm itself. So it's just some mandatory downtime, whether we wanted it or not, that's what it is. So most times we don't have electricity during that time. Most people don't, but we all know how to prep for it. If they get generators, awesome. If they don't, that's fine too. There's just certain stuff that we just know to do. All right. What about after the storm? Well, as soon as it's safe to go out, we do post-storm inspections. Like I said, we've got that list of houses we have to go check on. We normally split that up between the agents. We check with the tenants. Again, communication with them, just checking in to see if there's any storm damage. Do we need to go and take a look at anything? Are there any trees down? Just kind of see what's going on and where we need to send people and kind of triage, basically. While we're out looking for things like roof damage, fallen trees, broken fences, any kind of water intrusion whatsoever, hopefully the tenants have done everything that we sent them out to do. If you've not had any kind of electricity for several days, maybe the food in the fridge, just kiss it goodbye and put in an insurance claim. Woo. All right. But yeah, if there is major damage, which is very rare, but if there is major damage, we're going to get our vendors out there right away. We're going to communicate directly with the owner. We're going to talk next steps. We're going to talk, do you want to do insurance or not? Some don't want to do an insurance claim for whatever reason. That's totally and completely up to the property owner. They know their insurance, they know their situation, their finances. If they want to self-insure and they just want to take care of it, that's fine too. If they want us to work with the insurance company, we're going to work hand in hand with them to make sure they have photos, videos, and do everything for the insurance claim. If the tenants have to move out temporarily, we handle that process. We help coordinate with your insurance for loss of rent coverage. We try to work with the tenant to make sure that, either it's a short-term thing, do a hotel or something like that, or it may be a longer-term thing and get them into another property. It really just depends on the situation. But what can you do right now as a property owner? So here's your quick hurricane season checklist. All right, again, review your insurance policy, know exactly what it covers, and more importantly, what it doesn't. Ask your insurance agent about flood insurance, even if you're not in a flood zone. How much it is and is it required? Make sure your tenants have renter's insurance. That's something that we do. It protects their belongings and avoids really messy claims later. Keep your property maintained. We make sure to get the gutters cleaned, trim the trees, check the roof, all of that. So if you see those repairs come through, it's just because we're trying to be proactive instead of reactive, because proactive is a lot less expensive. If trimming up a tree is like, maybe $500, that same tree limb falling on your roof and taking out, part of your, the frame of your actual house, a lot more expensive. So, being proactive with the repairs, especially for storm prep, is key. It's huge. We're also going to make sure, if you can, possibly, you're going to hear me going over this in the next few videos in the next few months, but please update your contact information with us. Email, phone number, emergency contacts, plural, contacts, more than one. So you, another person, and a third backup person that can make decisions on the property. Also, have some funds set aside for your deductible. Claims can take time and repairs often require quick deposits. So just make sure you have some cash on hand for that. And most importantly, don't wait until a storm's in the forecast. Go ahead and get prepping now, okay? Even if you don't live anywhere near Florida, you own property in Florida. So if you have any questions, of course you can reach out to us. I know hurricane season can be stressful, especially when you don't live nearby or if you've got multiple investment properties down here, but I want you to know, we've got this, okay? My team has handled countless storm events over the years, and we've trusted our vendors, to be on call for us 24/7, especially when this severe weather stuff hits. Yeah, they got us, okay? And we've got them, and we've got you. Our main goal is to minimize damage, keep your tenants safe, keep them in the house, make sure you have any and all documentation you need for any insurance claims. But honestly, if you have any questions about your property's storm readiness or insurance coverage, just reach out. We're happy to review what we have on file and help make sure everything's in order and going well and you're fully prepared and all of that. So, all right, well, that's it for this month's property owner update. If you found this helpful, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button to our channel. That helps other property owners that maybe have property here in Florida find the information that they need too. So if you have any questions, again, about your specific property, or maybe you just want to double check that your insurance info is up to date with us, don't hesitate to reach out. We are here for you. So yeah. All right. Again, this is Andrea with Great Expectations Realty, reminding you, we will weather the storm together. Stay safe, stay prepared, and as always, thank you for trusting us with your property. We appreciate it. Bye.